Oh, someone's at the door. Hello?
Hello, neighbour.
Hi, neighbour.
I'm just going away again for a couple of nights.
Oh, great.
I was wondering if this time if you wouldn't mind keeping an eye on my plant. It's a new one and I don't want it to die.
Okay, I think I can do that.
Thanks.
Cool. Have fun.
See ya.
Bye. Keep an eye on it. Can I blink? Does it eat anything? Welcome to JRev. Oh, okay, it's still there. Sarah! You didn't give me any other instructions. Help!
Hey guys, welcome back. Chris is somewhere.
Hi. Here's your plant.
No, that's the pot. Where's my plant?
Got hungry?
You ate it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Did you even check if it's poisonous?
I think I'm okay.
Oh,
Sorry about that. I'll buy you a new plant.
that would be good. Thank you very much. Well, welcome back. Speaking of neighbourly things,
Yes.
have you noticed something a bit different back there?
What?
Yeah, I decided to put up a world map.
Wow! That's
Yeah.
cool!
Let me wriggle out the way a little bit so people can see it a bit better.
Whoa! Hang on. I can see my house from here. Right there.
Yeah, well, I think, like, you'd have to really zoom in to see your house.
No, my zoom's broken. Hey, what are all these other places? Because I recognise Australia,
Yeah.
but what are all these other places around?
Well, I thought it would be cool to look at some of the other countries that are near us that are kind of like our neighbour countries.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Can you see any that you know?
Oh, that's New Zealand down
Yeah.
there. Yeah. And, ooh, is that Papua New Guinea?
Yeah, it's pretty small.
It's so tiny.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Indonesia's close to it as well. Indonesia's a stack of different islands that
Oh.
all add up together to make a country.
Wow.
It's really cool.
That's so cool. Kind of like how Australia has like Tasmania, but it's
Yeah.
still connected.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I wonder if you have ever thought about the countries that are around Australia as being our neighbours before.
I have never thought about that.
Yeah.
That's
Maybe
pretty
you
cool.
could give yourself a bit of a challenge, look up a world map and see how many neighbour countries you can find.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
You should do that now.
Go for it.
Hi JRev, some very exciting news to share with you. Next door that way, we have brand new neighbours moving in tomorrow. And what's better than when you arrive at a new house, when your current neighbours can make you brownies. So today we're going to make some chocolate brownies. It's my favourite brownie recipe. You will need an adult's help for this one, so make sure you go and ask them. But here is what you'll need. So you'll need 1 1/4 cups of plain flour, not self-raising flour, plain flour. 1 1/3 cups, no, my bad, 1 3/4 cup of brown sugar. 1/3 cup of cocoa. 4 eggs. 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. 250 grams of butter. And 200 grams of your favorite kind of chocolate. Now, warning, this recipe is not remotely healthy at all, but it's so delicious. Okay, let's get to cooking. All right, so you don't need the heat up too high. Like I said before, we need grown-ups' help. So you've got your butter and your chocolate, and we're going to melt them in this saucepan. Alright, so the butter and the chocolate have melted, so now we're going to leave them to cool while we combine the other stuff. So you'll also need some kind of a baking dish. I like these ones, but just find one that's got a little bit of depth to it so that it doesn't all explode out the top like molten lava. Now, I like to spray my tins first, especially around the edges, because it helps you with this part. Grab some baking paper, you've got it. Oh, I've run out. Let's see if we've got more in the cupboard. Okay, don't panic, guys, because I've got more. So, make sure you stretch it so it's wider than the tin. Then tuck it in. And this makes it so much easier to get your brownies out afterwards. And you might want to go this way too. A little hack to get it to stick properly is just spray underneath where the paper layers over itself. and you won't have weird brownie mess in the middle. Okay, let's make some brownies. So, combine your flour. Remember, plain flour, not self-raising, very important. Your cocoa. Your sugar. Your baking powder. And just give it a little mix. Cool. Now onto the eggs. So remember, you need 4 eggs. And mix again. Now remember, we said for this recipe you will need an adult's help, and this is another part where you need an adult. So our saucepan is still warm, so we're going to add our butter and chocolate into our chocolate mix. But be careful because it's still a bit hot. And you guessed it, mix again. You can also just mix it with your hand. Not with your hand, but with like a spoon or something. Alright, now remember I said before it'll be still a bit hot, a bit warm. So again, this is another point where a grown-up's help is helpful. Alright, so now your mixture goes into your tin. Alright, we're going to put this into the oven at 160 degrees for about 50 minutes, as in 50 minutes. But you know, it just depends on how your oven works. Just check with the grown-ups that you live with and they'll kind of give you a bit of a guide. Again, make sure you're getting your grown-ups help. See you soon. Okay, our timer is up, and this is another job for you and a grown-up. So don't do this by yourself. Let's get our brownies. They look pretty good. So leave them in the tin to cool down, and once they're completely cool, then you can cut them up, and we're going to make sure that we give these to our neighbours tomorrow. And don't forget, if you're giving food that you've made to a gift for someone, just write down a list of all the ingredients just in case they're allergic to anything. Bye!
Hey Sarah, you know how we were looking at a map with Australia and all the neighbouring countries around it? Well, that got me thinking. I know for a fact there are some JRevers here who have been lucky enough to have an international adventure and go and visit some of these neighbouring countries.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you know what? I love holiday snaps and I love hearing about all the adventures that people have been on, so I would love for JRev to send in whatever they've been doing. If they've ever gone on an adventure outside of Australia, they could send it in to the JRev Letterbox!
Yeah, that would be pretty amazing. I mean, even if they haven't been, maybe they know someone who has been, or maybe they know something about one of our neighbouring countries and they might like to send in a picture about it, or some kind of a drawing, piece of art about it.
Maybe you could even mention something that was the same or different about the place that you visited.
Hey, I have a friend. Her name's Marge, and she's not only been to Papua New Guinea, which is one of our neighbouring countries. She was actually born there.
What? That's amazing.
Legit, she was born there.
That's so cool. Do you know anyone who's been born elsewhere?
Yeah.
Maybe you could send it in. So if you have a grown-up nearby, get them to write down this address and you can send it into the show.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yo, what up, JRev? We're going to be doing a giant quiz all about neighbours. So I hope you got your thinking hats on. You're ready to answer some quiz questions. This first part is going to be a yes or no section. So just choose what answer you think is right. Yes or no, true or false. Let's get it started. SpongeBob SquarePants has a neighbour called Squidward Tentacles. Yes or no? What's the answer? What do you reckon? Lock it in 3, 2, 1. Yes, of course. Squidward. He's a bit of an octopusy guy, right? Yeah, plays the clarinet. Okay, on to the next question. Greg from Diary of a Wimpy Kid has a neighbour called Begley. What do you think, JRev? Yes or no? I haven't actually seen this movie and or read the book. What do you reckon? 3, 2, 1. Oh no! It's actually Begley. That's an interesting name. Right, moving right along to the next question. Milhouse van Houten is Bart Simpson's next door neighbour. True or false? Is there any Simpsons fans here? I wonder who it is. 3, 2, 1. Ah, of course, it's false. It's actually the Flanders family. Ned and Rod and Todd. They're scared of moths, aren't they? Yeah. Alright, JRev, we've gotten to a multiple choice part of the quiz, so there's going to be a number of options up on screen. I'll read them out, you just need to choose the right one. Let's see how we go. Question number 1. What is the name of Andy's next door neighbour in Toy Story? Oh, I love Toy Story. Is it 1, Sid Graham, 2, Sid Phillips, 3, Nick Phillips, or D, Nick Graham? They're all so similar, aren't they? What do you think the answer is? Lock it in. 3, 2, 1. Aha, the answer is Sid Phillips. He makes weird toys out of bits and pieces, and they're a little bit spooky, aren't they? Yeah. Okay, next multiple choice question. Get ready. What is the name of Emmett's next door neighbour in the Lego Movie 2? Lego Movie 2! Everything is awesome! Is it 1, Mr. Cat Scratcher, 2, Mr. Kitty Litter, 3, Mrs. Scratch and Post, or 4, Mrs. Catastrophe? They're all a bit funny, aren't they? What do you think it is, JRev? Lock it in 3, 2, 1. Haha, it's Mrs. Scratch and Post. It's a funny name for a neighbour. Is she nice? I can't remember. Alright, we have the very last question in this JRev quiz all about neighbours, so get ready. Hopefully you can score yourself some points. What is the name of the Browns' mean next door neighbour in Paddington? Paddington Bear. He's got that hat and a coat and he loves marmalade. Okay, is it 1, Mr. Curry, 2, Mrs. Smith, 3, Mr. Fish, or 4, Mrs. Jones? I had a teacher called Mrs. Jones. She was quite nice, so it couldn't be her. What do you think? In 3, 2, 1. Mr. Curry. If you got that answer right, then you got a point. Well done. And thanks for playing.
What's the most important rule to follow? Today we're going to be looking at a story from the Bible, from Luke chapter 10, where a religious man was trying to trick Jesus a little bit, and he kind of asked him, like, Jesus, how do I get to heaven? How do I have eternal life? So Jesus encouraged him to think about what the law was. We're not talking about law like don't go through a red traffic light. We're talking about Jesus was referring the man back to an earlier part of the Bible that kind of spelled out what people should do. So the man said to Jesus, well, obviously, it's love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind and soul, and love your neighbour as yourself. And Jesus was like, great, perfect, it's the right answer. But then the religious man said to Jesus, yeah, but like, who is my neighbour? Because you remember, he was trying to trick Jesus. So Jesus was clever, and he decided it was a great opportunity to teach the man and everyone else who was listening a little bit more about how God's kingdom works. So he used a story. Jesus opened the story by explaining that there was a man who was a Jew who was walking down a road when he got attacked by some bad guys and got really badly hurt. So the man was lying on the ground in a lot of pain, in agony, possibly bleeding, quite injured, when a priest appeared, discovered the man, and went, oh, and crossed to the other side of the road, and didn't even look after him. So the man was still lying by the side of the road, still in pain, and still needing help, when a guy who worked at the temple saw the man, did exactly the same thing, ignored him, and went on his way. Story doesn't make sense. First of all, a priest, and then a guy who worked at the temple. These people are supposed to be, people who look after people, and they've just left this poor man in pain. Then Jesus told the people that the third person to arrive was a Samaritan. Now, it's important that we tell you a little bit more about the relationship between Samaritans and Jews, because typically Samaritans probably wouldn't help out people who are Jewish. In fact, these guys weren't really friends. So this is where the story gets a bit weird and complicated. You see, the Samaritan guy helped this Jewish guy up and kind of fixed his wounds and stuff. Then after he'd bandaged him up, he took him to somewhere nice to stay so that the man could rest. And the Samaritan guy even said to the man who owned the inn, if he needs to stay longer, just keep my bill and next time I'm around, I'll pay for it. That seems incredibly generous for someone who wouldn't normally even hang out with like a Jewish guy. So we're back to the beginning with the religious dude and Jesus. So then Jesus said, well, which one do you think was really the neighbour? And the religious guy was like, the one who took care of him, the one that showed mercy, the Samaritan guy. And Jesus was like, yep, now go and do the same. So what's the big deal about this story? Well, Jesus was using it to try and explain to us and the people who he was talking to at the time that actually everyone is our neighbour and it's our job to take good care of everyone that crosses our path. This story reminds us that even if people wouldn't expect you to look out for the other person, that's how Jesus rolls. Because if I was that man lying by the side of the road, I would desperately want someone to help me. It doesn't matter if it's someone who lives next door, down the street, in the same suburb, in the same country, or on the other side of the planet. Everyone's our neighbour here on planet Earth, and Jesus wants us to show mercy to each other, to take good care of each other. So if you don't remember anything else from today, I want you to remember this. Everyone is our neighbour. So let's follow Jesus' example and show mercy. I don't know about you, but I can't do that by myself. I need God's help. So let's pray and we'll ask for God's help. Dear God, we thank you so much for your example of what loving everybody looks and sounds like. We pray that you would help us to be able to take good care of everyone that you put in our path and make us aware of who all of our neighbours are, everyone on the planet. Amen. Our memory verse is from 1 Peter 3:8. Be like-minded. Be sympathetic. Love each other. Be compassionate and humble. Let's do it one more time. 1 Peter 3:8. Be like-minded. Be sympathetic. Love each other. Be compassionate and humble.
Excuse me, Sarah.
Yes.
Do you happen to have the time?
Time to look at my watch.
Well, that may be your time, but also the time on my watch says it's the JRev Weekly Challenge time!
Ooh, what are we doing this week?
So this week, we are going to make a list. And you know that I love making lists.
That sounds boring.
But.
Don't call me a butt.
Sorry. But the cool thing about this list is that we're actually going to be making a list of who is my neighbour.
Can you give me some examples, please?
You're my neighbour.
Correct.
Nathan is my neighbour.
As in Nathan, our friend Nathan.
Yes.
But he doesn't live next door to us.
No, but here's the catch. Everyone is our neighbour.
Hold up.
Yeah.
So I have a friend.
Yeah.
Who lives like on the other side of the world, in a place called Pittsburgh, which is really far away. No, not that kind of pit. It's in America.
Oh wow, that is far away.
Is she my neighbour?
Of course.
Okay, but what about if it's someone that I've never even met before, like someone who lives in Norway?
Yep, even if you've never met someone before, even if it's a stranger on the street that you're walking past, they are your neighbour.
This is crazy.
So, JRev, you're going to need something to write with, something to draw or paper, that sort of thing. And you're going to need to start listing people, and guess what? It's going to be a long list.
I wonder how many you can get to before your brain explodes or your hand falls off.
If you have a sibling next to you, maybe you could do a challenge to see who knows more people.
Alright, well, I'm going to beat you with how many people I know.
Alright,
See
ready,
you, JRev.
set, go. Oh, wait, you had a head start, wait! Oh, okay, so I know Jerry, I know Bob, I know Tina, I know Lucy,